Hey Jim, got another fun new project today. We're going to see if we can rescue this teak dining set from the junk heap. This was in use apparently for quite a few years by a nearby lake, and the owner decided to replace it because it was starting to get really rough and it's starting to crack and fall apart. You can see a little crack here, and on the top it's got some cracks. But I'm gonna see if I can do something about that and tighten up all these wobbly chairs and see if we can refresh this finish a little bit. First step, unload them. Next off, I think I'm gonna just go all over it and inspect it. Looks like we're missing a piece right there. My fingernails are still weird from all the tie-dye I did the other day. Anyway, there's the piece. Okay, so this is gonna get marked with a piece of blue tape. I'm just gonna go around and just mark all these broken spots. Well, I've been pretty lucky after walking around it a few times. Seems like most of my damage is just right here in this end. So what I've done is I've used some wedges here to push this up just enough to open this crack enough where I can get it glue into it. And then I have opened this one up enough where I'm going to get some glue in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'll put tape over this dowel because it has to remain free of glue and rotate, and there can't be any glue on this or up here because this whole thing has to slide back and forth on this rail. So just like here, I have put down some tape here. And you can see something funny here on my tape. That's because I put a second piece of tape on the sticky part of my main tape right under the center. So when I go to pull this tape out, it won't get stuck underneath here. This part that will be underneath is easily removed because it doesn't have stickum. So what I'll do is I will take my piece here and I will coat it perfectly with glue. I'll put it in my spot, and then I will use some little wedges to push it up into place. And then I'll use some of my 5-inch C-clamps and squeeze it all together. Let me show you. Okay, had to do them all three at once, because as soon as I released where I had this spread up, everything's going to close. So all three had to be glued. You see this one here looks pretty good. They all look pretty good. That one still looks like it's a little bit open, but I have quite a block in here and it seemed like it's pretty tight. So just gonna call that good. So now I'm gonna focus on these chairs. So you can see here that some of these are a little bit wobbly. I think a lot of that can be fixed by just tightening up some of the hardware. So I'm going to take each chair. I'm going to remove these seat cushions. They look pretty they're kind of green. So I'm going to take the seat cushions off, and I'm going to pressure wash all of these seat cushions, and then we're going to try and clean. I'm going to make some teak cleaner. So I'm going to make a solution of maybe a 1/4 cup of this vinegar and maybe a tablespoon of this Dawn and probably maybe a 1/2 cup of water. mix it all together, and then put it in a spray bottle and use this scrub brush and just slowly go over and try to clean and kind of bleach this a little bit before we move forward with repairing the rest of the actual finish. This chair also has a problem with being wobbly. I don't know if you can actually see that, but this thing is really loose and wobbly, and I think the whole problem is because it's just all of the fittings here are loose. I guess I don't know, I'll have to see if I should do anything about that, but I can tighten up all of these exposed fittings. So that's what I'm going to do. We have a 3.5 millimeter, and I'm going to go around and tighten all of this and see if we can get rid of this crazy wobble. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's going to help a lot. Not too tight, just tight enough. Let me do the rest of them. Well, that made all the difference in the world. Solid as a rock. Okay, well, solid as a well-built teak chair. Look at this. I found this little tag. It's on all of this stuff. McGill patio. Have to look that up. All right. Gonna pressure wash these cushions. I've sprayed this chair down with my vinegar cleaning solution. And I don't know why everyone says that you can't pressure wash teak. You know, you can. I think everyone that says that just assumes you're an idiot. Because if you do it right, you can absolutely use a pressure washer. I sprayed this down with my stuff and then waited for a little while and then took my pressure washer and gently cleaned it. I'd say it's a pretty stark difference. It'll be a little less once it dries, but still, then I will, of course, do a lovely oil treatment. But come on. Here's the deal. Cheap Harbor Freight pressure washer, and at the end you can twist it, and it can make it be a pencil or it can make it be a big old fan. And what you want is a big fan. Like that. After letting the whole chair soak in my vinegar solution for probably, 10 minutes or so, keeping it wet and in the shade, now I'm going to rinse it off. Big fan, stand pretty far back. So this is where we started. This chair has had nothing done to it so far. And very stained. And then after the vinegar treatment and a very careful pressure washing, looks like that. And then you can see a big difference. And then after some linseed oil, it looks like this. Wow. Quite the comeback. I guess I better finish the rest of these chairs. Get started on that right one. I have already done the treatment, the vinegar treatment and cleaning on the legs and the apron. I did all that while the table was upside down. Now that I've turned it right side up and slid it open, this thing gets really big. It's got 2 leaves that spin out. We'll open those up later. I'm not working on this end yet. I'm waiting for it to completely dry so I can repair this. And then we'll go through and do the vinegar and then the wash down. And this has already got the vinegar treatment. It's been on there about 10 minutes now. I keep it making sure that it stays wet. And in a moment, we'll give her the old washeroo. Well, that worked out pretty well. Huh, nice. Look at these cool leaves. They spin around like that and then hinge open. How cool is that? And now we wait. Okay, well, we got the next day here. Everything's all dry. You can certainly see the big difference from where it's been washed and where it has not. And we can see that my repair here came out reasonably good, much better than it was. And I found another one. So I'm not going to worry about this one, but this one here is a problem because it kind of sticks out a little bit and it catches if you wipe across. So I'm going to try to get some glue in there and then bar clamp across to hold it down, let her dry, and then do a little light sanding so it doesn't catch stuff so bad. And then I think that's it. Then we're ready to oil the baby up. Lots of oil. I ordered, my beautiful wife Shannon ordered a gallon. We're up in our linseed oil game. We used to buy it by the quart. Now we're going for gallons. So what I did is I worked glue. I squeezed glue into the little crack until it came out of the crack on the edge here. And then I squeezed it to kind of distribute the glue. And then I used a damp cloth to clean up any of the glue that has seeped out before I applied my clamp. And then when I applied my clamp, I went back through and got as much of the glue that oozed out as I could get. And now we wait. That should do it though. Okay. That crack is a little better. I can't really feel it, so it won't be catching tablecloths or anything. And here, I put a little bit of the oil here on the edge, which isn't as dirty as the top, but just to see what it would look like compared to where it's been cleaned. And, it's not that huge of a difference. If you wanted to just oil it and call it a day, you could probably get away with that, but then you'd still have all of this dirty pattern and all of that would just be kind of oiled into it. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and wash this side and then we'll start oiling everything up. The gallon of linseed oil is here. Boiled linseed oil. So, gonna start doing all this oiling. This is that very first chair that I have oiled a couple of times already, and I kept noticing when it dried, I was getting this like whitish debris. You can see it on the back slats there, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's some of the old finish still. Anyway, I tried this one little section here with some 400 grit wetter dry and some oil, some fresh linseed oil. And as you can see, now that it's dry, it looks much nicer without this white, I don't know, white hazy stuff. And I also put just regular oil here without sandpaper, and it dried and the haze came back. So I guess that means I'm going to have to bust out my sanding block and apply the next layer, next coat of linseed oil with my sanding block. And I could probably also use like steel wool or something like that, but the 400 grit seemed to work pretty good. Look at that. I discovered that they stack, or I think you could call it nest. Anyway, this is the chair after doing the whole thing with 400, and it's completely dry. It's been 24 hours, and I still get a little bit of that hazy stuff. So, especially if you turn it around and look at the back, you can see on some of the back slats, but it's much better than it was. But that forced me to reevaluate, and this is the tabletop after going over the whole thing once, but this time I used 220, and it feels just about the same as the chair does with the 400. So it still looks a little bit hazy and dry. So now I'm probably going to switch over and go over this whole table with the 400. And then I have to go underneath and get underneath here a couple times. And then I got to do all the rest of those chairs. Well, there we have it. I ended up busting out a half sheet orbital sander and going over absolutely everything with 220. I went through a lot of sandpaper. And then my beautiful wife Shannon did some of the touch up and found that a grid type of a open sanding device would actually get the stuff off. Otherwise, it really clogs the sandpaper crazy fast. But it's as good as it's going to be, and can't wait to sit down and have a nice barbecue. Thanks for watching.